Ever heard whispers in the locker room? That guy's got something extra. From Tristan Thompson, juiced on banned SARMs and growth hormone boosters, to Mayo blaming his athletic failure on a dodgy energy drink, to Hedo Turkoglu's epic steroid saga, buckle up. We're diving deep into the NBA's Hall of Shame. Players busted for chasing that extra edge. First up, Tristan Thompson, slapped with a 25-game suspension on January 23, 2024. Turns out, he wasn't just hitting the gym, he was hitting the pharmacy. Ibutamoren and SARMs. A cocktail that sounds more like a villain's origin story than a pre-game ritual. Ibutamoren, that sneaky growth hormone booster, promising peak performance. And SARMs, mimicking testosterone's might, but without the steroid label. Dr. Jesse Morse called them out, potent PEDs with heart-stopping risks. The joke? Thompson was averaging a measly 3.8 points and 3.9 rebounds, paying top dollar for bench warmer performance, racking up a $726,000 loss from his $3.3 million contract. Rashard was incredulous. Thompson's tight-lipped silence only fueled the gossip, with Kardashian drama overshadowing his drug violation. This wasn't a tainted supplement fluke. These substances have a short half-life, hinting at recent use. Thompson knew, he just didn't expect to be caught. Speaking of substances that didn't exactly turn players into all-stars, let's revisit Wilson Chandler. August 29, 2019, 25-game suspension for Ipamorelin, a growth hormone-releasing peptide, sounding straight out of a Frankenstein flick. Chandler, averaging a career-low 6.0 points, claimed his doctor prescribed it for injury rehab. Ignorance isn't bliss, especially when your career's on the line. Cost: $582,898 gone from his $2.6 million salary, delaying his debut and ultimately fizzling out his NBA career. Sports Illustrated flagged it as part of a weird 2019 surge in PD suspensions. Chandler preached level-headedness to the young bloods, admitting his mistake. The irony? His injury did make his excuse somewhat believable. Now, on to DeAndre Ayton. From number 1 draft pick to number 1 disappointment? Blame Diuretics. October 24, 2019, a 25-game ban for Diuretics. Basically souped-up water pills, treated like PEDs by the NBA. Ayton had just dropped 18 points, 11 boards, and 4 blocks, then bam. Sideline duty. What made it interesting was his plea of unintentional ingestion. According to Scottie Pippen, it lands on medical staff or trainers. Whether right or wrong, the saga drove home a point. No matter your draft status, the NBA drug policy doesn't play favorites. Then there's John Collins, thinking he could supplement his way to superstardom. November 5th, 2019, the Atlanta Hawks forward gets hammered with a 25-game suspension for G-CHRP2, a growth hormone-releasing peptide that ESPN's Jalen Rose thought was unfortunate for the outlook of their entire season. Collins tried the classic tainted supplement defense, but the NBA wasn't buying it, costing him $610,000 of his $2.7 million salary. But here's the twist. Collins bounced back, signing a massive $125 million deal in 2021. Sometimes, the fall leads to a fortune. Now, Hedo Turkoglu. February 13, 2013, a 20-game suspension for methanolone, an actual anabolic steroid. Turkoglu, at 2.9 points and 2.4 rebounds a game, blamed medication from a Turkish trainer, claiming ignorance. Magic GM Rob Hennigan called it an honest mistake, but critics weren't convinced. This was a 12-year vet. The suspension cost Turkoglu nearly $3 million, and the Magic eventually cut him loose, ending his career. From international mishaps to over-the-counter oopsies, let's rewind to Rashard Lewis. August 6, 2009, 10-game suspension for DHEA, a hormone precursor available at pretty much any supplement store. Lewis pleaded ignorance, claiming he unknowingly consumed it. A $1.67 million lesson in reading labels. But the ultimate irony? He won a championship with the Heat in 2013. Getting caught can be a detour to success. Finally, Mayo. January 27, 2011, another 10-game suspension for, you guessed it, DHEA. He blamed an energy drink, declining to name names. Given his history of NCAA violations, the accidental ingestion defense rang hollow. Are you planning to come back? Right, so before we get back to mocking Tristan Thompson, let's rewind the clock. Remember Don McLean? Not the American Pie guy, the Miami Heat forward. He holds a special place in NBA infamy as the first dude busted for steroids, a dubious distinction he snagged in 2000. 5 games sidelined for juicing. Hardly a legacy to brag about. He blamed some recovery supplement for his creaking knees, claiming ignorance. The real kicker? He was averaging, like, 7 points a game. Steroids to boost, what exactly? Pathetic. He was the league's first lab rat, paving the way for every chemically enhanced chump to follow. Short straw indeed. And since the NBA's testing program was now officially in the news, let's swing on over to Matt Geiger. Backup center for the Sixers in 2001. February 14th, a day of love and suspensions. 2 games for a banned substance. Another supplement excuse, some long half-life nonsense. The timing was priceless. popped right after returning from knee surgery. 1 game, 12 minutes, BAM. Suspended. Plus, Geiger was built like a stretched-out praying mantis. Steroids? Really? As intimidating as a scarecrow. He may have missed the finals that year as a result of the suspension, but no one really noticed. From the land of forgettable backup bigs, we jet off to Africa. Samela Samaki, Lakers center. 2002, the third NBA steroid suspension. This one was a bit more serious. Nandrolone, an actual anabolic steroid. But here's the weird part. The Lakers themselves ratted him out. During his training camp physical, they found he was taking something sketchy. Talk about proactive. Samela Samaki's defense was a symphony of unfortunate circumstances. He walked into the NBA's disciplinary hearing practically waving a white flag of ignorance, claiming his nandrolone stemmed from an innocuous off-season supplement regimen in Miami, a substance allegedly absent from the label. A language barrier, compounded by his international origins, painted a portrait of utter bafflement, a perfect storm of misconstrued instructions and forbidden compounds. Even Shikala Neo's vouching, declaring it an honest blunder by a player striving for improvement, felt less like exoneration and more akin to the popular kid trying to excuse your blatant cheating on the midterms. Samela Samaki's suspension was almost darkly humorous. His stat line read like a ghost's. 1.7 points, 1.8 rebounds in a mere 5.9 minutes. He was essentially a statistical phantom, juiced up to achieve slightly less insignificance. Steroids, apparently, couldn't conjure playing time. Phil Jackson, ever the pragmatist, deemed the 5-game ban excessive for such a fringe player, expecting a slap on the wrist. Even the Zen master couldn't meditate his way to acceptance, lamenting a suspension that cost the team nothing on the court, but brought a heap of global shame. Samaki's brush with banned substances cost him a cool $45,000, a significant chunk of his $465,850 salary, and effectively slammed the door on his NBA dreams after only 47 games. A cautionary tale of fleeting fame. But from international anonymity, let's shift gears to a seasoned vet whose steroid infraction couldn't have come at a worse juncture. A playoff push. Enter Lindsey Hunter. April 11th, 2007. The Detroit Pistons guard felt the hammer, sidelined for 10 games. His crime? Testing positive for Fendermind, a stimulant skirting the technical definition of a steroid, yet still landing him squarely in the NBA's doghouse, a testament to their wonderfully convoluted drug regulations. Ah, Fendermind, that darling of the dieting world. When Lindsey Hunter popped for it, the whole thing just reeked of absurdity. Fendermind, folks, jacks up your energy and crushes your appetite. So here's Hunter, a 36-year-old point guard warming the bench, seemingly on the same mission as your average suburban housewife. Operation Skinny Jeans. Was he trying to shed pounds? Maybe snag a faster first step? Or just both? It was a drug violation 2-for-1 special. Lindsey Hunter's defense? Pure comedic gold. He blamed his positive test on Fendermind, claiming he'd mistakenly ingested his wife's diet pills mid-season. The old wrong bottle routine. It's the athlete's equivalent of accidentally showing up to a board meeting in a negligee. Technically plausible, but screaming organizational dysfunction. And the timing? Ouch. Hunter's suspension encompassed the last 6 regular season games and 4 playoff contests, a blunder that bled roughly $400,000 from his $2.25 million paycheck. Talk about spectacularly poor timing for a marital medication mix-up. Lindsey Hunter, a journeyman guard more known for hustle than highlight reel plays, popped for. Well, let's just say he wasn't fueling a dominant scoring spree. His contribution was a modest 4.9 points and a smidge over an assist per game. Hardly the stuff of legend. The absurdity? Hunter was boosting performance that barely even moved the needle. The kicker? He bounced back, lasted in the league until 2010, and even morphed into a reputable assistant coach, proving, perhaps, that a misplaced bottle of your spouse's weight loss pills isn't a career ender. More likely, just prime material for some locker room fodder and coaching clinic anecdotes. And now, a tale of faded glory. Forget the veteran blaming his missus's pills. We're talking about a high flyer already grounded, his trajectory nosediving when the drug test sirens wailed. Darius Miles. August 21st, 2008, the league dropped the hammer. 10 games. Fentanyl, the culprit. The very same stimulant that torpedoed Lindsey Hunter's chances, proving, yet again, that NBA locker rooms weren't exactly think tanks. Miles hadn't seen court action since '06, prepping for a resurrection tour with teams from Charlotte to Boston when the hammer fell. Picture it, cramming for the comeback exam, only to get caught cribbing notes before you even flip the page. Expelled before you could even sweat. Darius Miles' excuse for popping positive? About as believable as his miraculous injury comebacks. He pleaded ignorance, claiming zero clue what triggered the test, swore off diet pills, and insisted he only touched medication cleared by the Blazers staff. Translation? I suddenly developed amnesia regarding my recreational chemistry experiments, all while angling for a new contract. But the real circus wasn't just the violation, it was the aftermath. The NBA, in a stroke of PR brilliance, or perhaps sheer panic, Blast emailed all 30 teams with the confidential dirt on Miles, since he was a free agent. Cue privacy alarm bells and the threat of union grievances. The whole affair was a bureaucratic clown show, overshadowing the actual infraction. Miles' drug infraction became a bureaucratic quagmire for the NBA. But the Portland Trail Blazers took pettiness to an art form. Instead of simply letting him serve his time, they effectively blackballed him. Dare a team risk signing Miles and letting him play 10 games? Portland would sue, resurrecting an $18 million cap albatross around their neck. So, not only were the Blazers stiffing him, they were actively sabotaging any chance of revival. The 10-game sentence snatched roughly $900,000 from a possible $9 million paycheck, but the true price was decimating his already dwindling shot at a comeback. After a brief stint of 8 forgettable games in Memphis, amounting to little more than 3.5 points and a rebound and a half, he vanished from the NBA, a footnote erased by time. But speaking of comebacks derailed by energy, let's pivot to a former Defensive Player of the Year whose own misstep with supplements occurred during a less-than stellar run with the Knicks. Enter Joakim Noah. The man went from defensive royalty to suspended royalty practically overnight. March 25, 2017. The date the NBA slapped the Knicks center with a 20-game ban for testing positive for SARM LGD. 433, otherwise known as Ligandro, a name that conjures images of late-night, deeply questionable online transactions. So, Joakim Noah, bless his heart, pops for LGD 433. We're talking a SARM, a fancy, selective testosterone impersonator that's all the rage now. Less Hulk, more sculpted David, you dig? Supposedly easier on the system than your grandpa's juice. Makes you wonder what Noah was expecting. Walk-on highlight reels after a year sidelined with. A wonky hamstring and a freshly knifed knee? The timing was just chef's kiss. It's like ordering a pizza after your house burns down. Brutal irony. Joakim Noah, sidelined and healing, somehow managed to trigger a PED alarm. The irony dripped, bulking up whilst banished to the bench. His explanation? A familiar refrain. An innocent over-the-counter supplement. A recovery aid gone rogue, unknowingly laced with LGD 433. It's the I thought this Ferrari was a Ford Fiesta defense. Technically plausible, yet suggesting a worrying lack of due diligence. This 20-game timeout clipped $3 million from his $17 million paycheck, stretching from the 16 to 17 season's tail end through the initial dozen games of 17 to 18. Ayton got off lightly, the league practically patting him on the back while admitting, hey, stuff happens. Intent, the NBA seemed to shrug, didn't matter squat thanks to the CBA's iron fist. So from accidental all-star to the realm of whispered accusations, let's dive headfirst into the real juicy stuff. Players supposedly juiced to the gills without a single positive test. Buckle up, folks, because we're about to enter a land of rampant speculation, where the accusations come thick and fast, faster than Iverson crossing over fools back in the day. Now forget those 13 fools who actually flunked the drug tests. This last bunch, we're in rumor territory. Legends accused based on whispers, shady glances, and good old-fashioned haterade. Gilbert Arenas, bless his heart, uncorked this whole conspiracy bottle on Vlad TV this year. He basically said the Wild West days of the 80s and 90s were PED heaven because testing was a joke. Think guys ripped at 25, balding like cue balls, and playing all 82 games without a scratch. He hinted, real subtle-like, about knowing teammates who were juiced to the gills. Wouldn't name names, of course. But this whole LeBron debate, Arenas kind of implied he understood the suspicion. Now, let's drop the hammer on the biggest name of all, LeBron James. Whispers of PEDs have followed the king for years, a persistent shadow to his unparalleled reign. Chael Sonnen, never one to mince words, claimed a shared connection to a certain pharmaceutical provider. Then you've got Jeff T. Garcia practically shouting from the rooftops about LeBron's alleged Miami Heat-fueled enhancement. NKG, ever the cryptic one, just dropped a knowing juice bomb, leaving everyone to connect the dots. It's almost comical, a whole cabal dedicated to dissecting LeBron's purported supplement regimen. Even the untouchable Michael Jordan faces whispers. Whispers fueled by the lax testing of his day. Back then, the league ran a single annual drug test, a yearly event on October 1st. Now, players face 4 tests annually since 2004. But that single date back then? It basically gave players a free pass the other 364 days. The big question hangs there. What were those 80s and 90s legends up to with so little oversight? Just that one day, October 1st, and then game on. So, mark October 2nd on your calendar. Folks, that's the day Tristan Thompson's back, assuming you even noticed he was gone. And circling back to those golden days of a 90s dream team, names like Karl Malone, David Robinson, and Patrick Ewing often surface in whispers, accused of riding the PED wave back when testing was more of a suggestion than a rule. But that's our dose of doping drama for today. For more deep dives into NBA off-court controversies, hit that card flashing on your screen.